No, this is not the show Succession, but it might as well be season 2 over here in real life, because today was the long-awaited Succession announcement that Fox Nation, the Wall Street Journal, the entire Murdoch media empire has been anticipating. Rupert Murdoch has officially handed the reins of both the TV network and the Wall Street Journal over to his son, Lachlan. That deal ending a family power struggle for one of the highest-profile media groups in the world. Let's bring in executive editor at Deadline.com, Dominic Patten, to talk a little bit more about this. Dominic, great to see you. I mean, obviously, like a very different ending than Succession. Tom did not get the company in this one. But is this going to be full steam ahead for Lachlan, or is this going to be plot a new course?
Oh, I think this is definitely going to be full steam ahead, my friend. Remember, Lachlan was given the chairmanship of Fox Corp and News Corp back in 2023. His father stepped into this chairman emeritus role. But of course, Rupert Murdoch's hand is always behind this, like Adam Smith with capitalism. This has been a long battle over the family trust. The problem that that elder Murdoch had, the old codger, as they used to call him in the British press, was that his worry that his other eldest children, Prudence from his first marriage and Elizabeth and James from his second marriage, were going to take their voting shares upon his death and perhaps remove Lachlan from the company, perhaps even change the direction of the conservative-leaning Fox and News Corp to something perhaps more progressive. Now, I've always thought progressives who think that James Murdoch and Elizabeth Murdoch were going to be their white knights were also people who maybe think the moon is still flat or the moon landing never happened. Nonetheless, that was a worry that the old man himself had. Well, now they've reached a deal, and everyone's getting a lot of money, and 3 of the kids are going to go off into the merry wilderness and leave the family business behind. And Lachlan Murdoch, he's going to be running the show.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the family reunions going forward, I think. I do want to ask, though, like, it's hard to know what's succeeding these days and what's struggling in the long term in the media landscape. Like, is the Murdoch empire facing meaningful disruption, or are they still very much king of the hill for all conservative media?
Well, I think if you look in terms of Fox News, clearly the ratings show them as #1 month after month, year after year, day after day, hour after hour. But ratings, like anything else, can rise and fall, as we found in the Dominion voting systems lawsuit when some of those internal texts were revealed in the 2020 election, and Fox seemed to not be getting behind the Stop the Steal movement. Suddenly their ratings started falling to the Newsmaxes and the other people. So those things are fluid. This is a changing environment. Do we know if Fox and News Corp are going to be the dynamites that they are now in the future? Well, of course not. All media is changing, diversifying, splitting, sometimes finding whole new revenue streams, and let's not even get into talking about AI for that matter. The Wall Street Journal still has one of the major influential perks and perches in terms of broadsheet media, but that can also change too. These are unknown futures, but what is known is that Rupert Murdoch's succession plan, unlike Logan Roy's, or maybe like Logan Roy's, has actually come to fruition.
And, you know, parallel to this, maybe not, but like you've also got whatever's happening with David Ellison and Larry Ellison and the CBS empire. And there's been so much speculation here. But do you see a world in which, like, Fox and the Murdochs go up against the Ellisons and, you know, CBS?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at that in terms of them going up against sports, yeah, always. But if you're looking at it, which I think you are, in terms of conservative media, Fox has won that war. CBS can bring in all the ombudsmen they want. They can buy all the free presses they want. They are not going to convince people who have long since left the House of Cronkite when it became the House of Rather 40 years ago to return. That's not going to happen. That's one of the great problems that a lot of mainstream media have in many ways, you could say, is they're trying to search for an audience that they're never going to get. And some would say, and I think it's a fair argument on one point of view, though I think there is another one too, is that you're diluting the wine by trying to please all the guests. And that's just simply not going to happen. Fox, on the other hand, they have to worry about more conservative media further to the right of them chewing into their piece of the pie. We obviously see this not just on the traditional landscapes of linear or cable or whatever, but of course the podcast, the bro boys and what have you, the tech lords, what we find in people who get their news mainly off social media like TikTok. They perhaps are not going to join the Fox party. And that's where the younger Murdoch, who's now running the show, that's the real challenge he's going to have in the future. And of course, advertisers. It's always going to be about keeping the advertisers. And if they can keep them, they can make money. And if you can't, you won't.
Yeah, will be very interesting to see what the next few years hold. Dominic Patten, thanks so much. What a fun conversation.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.